WeboManiacs World of Wrestling is saddened to hear about the passing of one Sid Eudy. Sid Eudy, otherwise known as, in my childhood, he was known as simply Sid Vicious. A larger-than-life character that gave me nightmares, actually, as a child, with the way he would crush his opponents with that devastating powerbomb. To certain points, I feel the move got overused and overplayed, thus making it a little less effective than should be, which, in my opinion, is one reason that he didn't make it actually into the Hall of Fame until they probably will put him in this year after his death. And that's just sad to hear, sad to know, sad to see that organizations don't keep up with their stars, even of past, that to a certain degree the business is exactly the way Vince always wanted it, which was, if it makes me money, if it draws me money. But we're not about that here at WeboManiacs World of Wrestling. We send our condolences to the family of Sid Eudy, aka Sid Vicious, and later on known in WWE when he made his mark. More so, to me, he made more so of a mark in WCW, but he carried it forward in going on the Psycho Sid aspect of basically snapping, because I'd snap too if I wasn't given title shots or something. So Sid Eudy, the world's gonna miss you. The world's going to miss its ruler of the world.
Here at WeboManiacs World of Wrestling is saddened to hear of the passing of one Sid Eudy, known throughout his career as Sid Vicious and Psycho Sid. Sid Eudy was one of those larger-than-life wrestlers, with a larger-than-life personality. Sid had one of the most earth-shattering power bombs I have ever seen. Wherever Sid went, destruction followed. Sid was just one of those guys that his time in WWE wasn't great. When he got to WCW, he finally got a little bit of a push that he deserved. Folks, even the heroes we watch, even the wrestlers we watch, pass away eventually. But this one in particular hit me like a ton of bricks, just like the death of Bray Wyatt. Sid, you will be missed. We send out our condolences to your family.
Sid, to me, was an influential talent, if you will. He was what, like, WWE wanted with Andre the Giant. Got what they wanted, like with Andre the Giant, but Sid took more with it as he rode on. Sid's intensity, rage, willingness to compete sets him out different than any other superstar that I've seen. He truly made his mark as one of the greatest big men in professional wrestling. Once they got to see who Sid Eudy for behind the scenes, that when they saw the character, they got to really know what all he was about, and that truly sets him out as as one of the greatest big men of all time, and he will truly be missed in the wrestling world.
Welcome to WeboManiacs World of Wrestling. Today's top topic is stars of the 90s. What made them big stars? What was their success? What was their downfall? All that and more on today's show. Stars from the 90s. What was the success? What was the downfall? You see, back in the 90s, you had guys like Chris Kanyon, who better than Kanyon, Juventud Guerrera, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Candido. All these guys had a lot of things in common. Charisma being one of them. See, Kanyon don't get the accolades he deserves. He had a lot of great matches in WCW. For a career cut short, just unbelievable. Juventud, he was one of those guys that just captivated you with the high-flying lucha libre style of wrestling. Eddie, he himself wasn't short of charisma, folks. He had the charisma, the in-ring ability, everything you could even imagine. Later formed the LWO. And then you had Chris Candido, a great talent. Used well, the Smoky Mountain Wrestling in the WWF. But he too had a downfall. And that downfall came when he found out that his girlfriend at the time, Tammy Stitch, that's right folks, Sonny, had an affair with yours truly, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Hey Austin, those some interesting stars that you mentioned that careers were pretty much cut short of, or don't get the credit and recognition that they actually deserve and everything from stars of the 90s. One that sticks out in my mind, believe it or not, is one Bob Sparkplug Holly. Okay, tougher than shoe leather, and multiple stage performances on the bigger stages and everything. But to me, just in certain instances, stars just can't get the grind going that they need to really show out as a superstar, say as somebody like a Macho Man Randy Savage with that elbow and everything. Something very simplistic as a move like an elbow or something. Macho Man made that thing popular and everything. But when I look back into the 90s and think of stars like you mentioned, who better than Kanyon, you know, and of course the answer was everybody. But at that particular point in time, but in all for seriousness here, Kanyon, as he was known, believe it or not, as Mortis before, to me, that's when, if the mask comes off, whether you're a luchador or not, that's when the mask, when it comes off, it could destroy your career. And it kind of, sort of, we thought when Kanyon was fighting with Diamond Dallas Page, and everything, that in fact, maybe that was the takeoff of his particular type of career. So as far as Sunny, I mean, you know, her song said it all. I know you want me, you know, but right now we want to hear from you here at WeboManiacs Wrestling. Don't forget to write us here at WeboManiac211@gmail.com. Austin, what else you got?
Well, that's correct. I mean, to me, when Kanyon unmasked as Mortis, it was a make or break for him in his career. You know, facing DDP, I mean, his career was not doomed. His career was doomed to be cut short. I mean, covered in tragedy, very heavy into the drugs. You know, it's just sometimes that kind of thing can overtake you, and it could lead you down the wrong road. And in that case, it's what happened with Kanyon. Now you had guys, you know, you look at Juventud, who to this day, folks, is still very active wrestling, but he's more so on like AA and the Mexican territories and like that. But see, the thing about Juventud is, Juventud was just one of those guys that you put him in the ring with anybody, he could go to town. Now, one in particular that I did not mention on the list was, in fact, Mike Awesome. Mike Awesome had a career in ECW. He didn't amount to much when he came into WCW. I mean, the years of the Extreme promotion took a toll on his body. He's another one that met an often tragic end. Eddie Guerrero, you know, he would soon go on to be one of the biggest luchadors, in my opinion, in WWE history. He had a group like LWO. Other stars come to mind as guys like Conan, Rey Mysterio Jr., Rey Mysterio, as you know him, folks. Just the stars of the 90s. It was just a whole different era. You had different personalities. You had clash of egos. It was an interesting time in professional wrestling, must I say.
Well, I wanted to retouch back on a comparison of how careers launch and how they sometimes fail to launch. And in Mortis's case, and Kanyon, as he would later become known, would be that thing for DDP that actually helped make DDP's career. So when we say one's got to go up, one goes down, or something, this is kind of what happened in those 90s during that time there, Austin. You had DDP who, for lack of a better term or something, you know, going around as the diamond, you know, when it was actually Scott Hall was the diamond stud, but he was actually like managing with him at the time of. So you go with, you know, from certain personas of recreating yourself, and guys like Mick Foley, you know, actually were able to recreate themselves, and in so many instances or something. But when you go back to talking about Juventud, okay, just the air athletic ability, sometimes I believe there's like a can you top this on high flying ability that gets overshadowed, and certain people don't get recognized for the talents that they perform in that ring. In Mortis's case, or in Kanyon's case, DDP got the dupe and forged ahead. In Juventud's case, Eddie Guerrero got the dupe and actually forged ahead and everything. So one goes up, one goes down. Is it sad that careers like Mike Awesome, due to, of course, like you said, drugs and stuff, that they're cut short? Certainly they're talented. Could here's a question I'd like to pose for our audience. Can failed attempted superstars that end up having their career cut short, can they serve as mentors or inspiration for you to want to get in the ring? There's a question I'd like to pose to the audience, and I'd like you to write us back at WeboManiac@yahoo.com or agoodroe19@gmail.com. Back to you, Austin.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, without the Diamond Exchange and Scott Hall and the Diamond Stud, we wouldn't have DDP. Without Canyon, we wouldn't have his alter ego Mortis. I mean, it's just, there's just so many stars who made a mark for themselves. It's just sad how tragedy struck those careers. One that comes to mind is the late great Owen Hart. I mean, you think back to his feuds with his own brother Bret, with Bret Hart, the match with Stone Cold, which ended very badly, if you will. Owen, he had charisma. He had the whole entire package. And then you think of guys like, I'll even go down the ECW road here. Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, guys like that who paved the way for the business today. The 90s get a lot of credit. The 90s stars I give a lot of credit to for paving the road to making the industry what it is today.
And I'm glad you bring that up as far as like ECW stars, as far as like paving the way and everything. To me, I don't care how many spears I see in wrestling. Nothing to me is going to make me forget the gore of Rhino. Okay? That move was put out and basically named Gore because he would charge you like a bull, you know, and come right at you. And if you were gored, you know, then boy, the fans just erupted at the sight of something like that. Nowadays, you know, you hear the from Roman Reigns, and you know a spear's coming. Before, with the gore, it almost captivated you like a JBL clothesline from hell. Is the way I would look at it. But if I had to go into other 90s type stars of that time, there was also stunning Steve Austin back during the time when he actually had hair and was getting his feet wet into the business before that ever popular ECW promo where Heyman just gave him the camera and said, just cut a promo. And he come in and he said what he said, and the legend was born at that particular point in ECW, as later on Vince knew what he had was indeed another gem in his pocket, only for him to keep getting stunned night after night after night, and us fans loved it.
We most definitely did. I mean, the gore, I still call the Spear of the Gore to this day, due to the fact, like you said, the gore had a major impact on the opponent. Rhino, I give all the credit for bringing that concept in. Now we get back to Stone Cold. Yes, Stunning Steve. And then, oh mercy, the god-awful Ringmaster gimmick did not work at all for him. And then, along comes King of the Ring 96, that famous speech. And that's the day Austin 316 was born, which skyrocketed Austin to being one of the biggest stars in the 90s. Seeing him stun the boss never got old. And you look at others, stars of the 90s, who skyrocketed to the top real quick, who skyrocketed to the top without challenges, of course. And I'm talking to none other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Made a debut at Survivor Series as Rocky Maivia, got booed, joined the Nation of Domination, split from the group, and blew up. His catchphrases are still big to this day.
Yeah, you're right about the Rock, but it doesn't matter how he did it, okay? He, as far as Rocky Maivia goes, and getting back to Stone Cold just real quick, because the Rock and Stone Cold are like your Ric Flair and your Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. They just make each other better every single time you see them fight. Okay, but as far as Stone Cold goes, he had to, as we say, make a name for himself by stepping on the career of one that was actually already overpopularized, cheered, booed, was both a heel and a face, more so loved to stay a heel or stay on that keep you guessing kind of a scenario. And I'm talking, of course, about Jake the Snake Roberts. He even adapted the moniker Rattlesnake, which was given to him by Jim Ross, calling him the Rattlesnake, in how you should never trust a snake the same way. So he basically, as much as he downtrodden on Jake in that King of the Ring speech and everything, he was both taking him down and yet still keeping the respect there by taking with him. It's kind of like going in a fight and taking someone's pocket knife at the end of the fight or something. And what did Stone Cold take? He took the moniker of Snake and never trust anybody. Because what did Jake always say? Don't trust me. He always said it.
Well, you know what the saying is, you gotta stomp on the head of a snake to make a name for yourself. After that defeat of Jake the Snake Roberts, he skyrocketed, became popular. Him and Rock clashed. And then you had the Connecticut Blue Blood in Paul Triple H Levesque. The way Triple H evolved in the 90s was something amazing to watch. He went from the Connecticut Blue Blood to Hunter Hearst Helmsley to who we know now as the Cerebral Assassin, King of Kings, in the wrestling ring, folks. The Game, Triple H.
Yeah, Triple H, you're right. You know, the heights that he's risen, especially to where he's at now in his career, his in-ring career is essentially done for. But what better way than to go than to actually reflect back on a time in the 90s when you were actually thought of as a degenerate, only to take that and say, okay, call me a degenerate, but you know what? I got 2 words for you. Suck it! And thus was born, as I would see Triple H play off of a lot of what Rocky Maivia was doing with his catchphrases. That's when the Cerebral Assassin Triple H would actually take those phrases, turn it into the group of D-Generation X, okay? And you needed more loudmouths. You needed more people that could actually fuel the fire and actually gang mentality, you know, basically tell the administration, okay, we're degenerates, but guess what? We run this place. They ran it actually essentially in the 90s, whether anyone really knew it or not, okay, because Vince was letting them do what they wanted. Spray painting a jet, okay, putting stuff in his car the way Stone Cold did. There's a lot that Vince let go by for these people to pave the way, to give us, I guess you could call our Mount Wrestlemore instead of Rushmore. Everybody loves to say Rushmore, but that's for presidents. I don't think presidents belong in wrestling. We found that out with Jack Tunney. But in that particular instance, I just want to get back to, like I was saying, the evolution of Triple H, which of course he did evolve with evolution, as he brought on even more young blood in the form of Dave Bautista and Randall Keith Orton. And I mean, it goes with saying that evolution to me was like the capping point for Triple H's career, as he was starting to give back to the business. And now that he's actually in charge as CCO, Chief Content Officer of Creative, the degenerate in him is the fan in us that knows more about what we want to see, and we'd like to know what you'd want to see here in WeboManiacs World of Wrestling. Thanks for tuning in this week, folks. We'll have another good topic for you next week. And you never know what you're going to see in WeboManiacs World of Wrestling, including you're going to see later on in this program, Shane's Comedy Corner. Get ready for that. But we'll see you next week, folks. All right. Are you a wrestling fan like us? Get your fix here in WeboManiacs World of Wrestling. We cover everything from interviews to just anything that you can think of to discuss pro wrestling, storylines, and much more. all right here in WeboManiacs World of Wrestling. Updates from WeboManiacs World of Wrestling. This week, I'll be covering the AEW side of things. Austin will be handling WWE. Let's get to it. AEW's Collision. The Conglomeration versus United Kingdom. 6 guys always entertaining to watch as the story continues with Roderick Strong trying to show his friend Kyle O'Reilly he's better when he's with him. After loads of action, this one ends with Kyle O'Reilly and a submission win. Willow Nightingale versus Harley Cameron. These two were back and forth, close pinfalls. The power of Willow was too much for Harley Cameron as Willow readies herself to face her former friend, Chris Statlander. Shibata versus Jay Lethal. Shibata victorious after setting Lethal up for his armbar as he leads in with the Iron Claw. Von Erichs would be proud because Dustin Rhodes was actually there at ringside. Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway in a warm-up match of 2 unknowns as they prep for Willow and Ishii. And Ishii was there at ringside, actually not commentating much at all. Hook versus Big Bill. Size and numbers against speed and technique with these two as Chris Jericho is on commentary. Nothing more than to soften up the opponent for Chris Jericho at All In for the FTW title. Fans were going stir crazy at every move that Big Bill does, and Hook made the big man submit. Arya Daivari versus Jeff Jarrett. Daivari's anger gets the best of him as it was a stroke of genius on Jarrett, and that's all she wrote was the stroke. Leo Rush and Top Flight versus the Blackpool Combat Club and Pac the Bastard. BCC and Pac go on to win a chance at the All-In London Ladders match for the Trios Championship. And the pre-show for All-In, I apologize, AEW fans, but I didn't have a chance to see the pre-show. I went right on into the pay-per-view. And let's get into it for you. Match 1, AEW Trios Championship in a ladder match as House of Black versus the Gun Club versus the Patriarchy versus BCC and the Bastard. The Blackpool Combat Club, that is. Only to see the Bastard climb for his moment of glory at All In. So the new Trios champions are Pac the Bastard, formerly of Death Triangle, now joined with the Blackpool Combat Club. That should make for interesting stories down the line. The AEW's Women's World title, Mariah May versus Toni Storm. Mariah May slapped her own mother, who was in the front row, only to later we see Toni Storm comforting Mariah May's mom and put on a massacre of a bloody display, only to see that the glamour Mariah May victorious after hesitation on hitting May with the shoe. New AEW Women's World Champion Mariah May. The FTW title is on the line as Chris Jericho versus Hook. And anything and everything goes in this kind of match because FTW rules. Anything and everything goes. As the numbers game came into play multiple times, Hook reveals that he can see as he removes that eye patch and starts waylaying on Big Bill. Big Bill goes flying into a table as Taz leaves the announcement desk, choking out Brian Keith for Hook to win with the Taz mission. That one meant a lot to me personally. That one had history behind it. Triple threat tag team match. FTR versus Acclaimed versus the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The innovation of the EVPs here, folks, saw that the Young Bucks did indeed retain. And Drake and Gibson make an appearance to be the next challengers for the AEW World Tag Team titles. And I can tell you right now that the FTR and the Acclaimed are probably going to be not so appreciative. And the storyline is going to continue with FTR versus Acclaimed. We always get good matches out of those four, though. And then we go into the Casino Gauntlet match. This match where the winner of this would actually receive a World Championship title match whenever he chooses. This match is done kind of sort of like the Royal Rumble match, except the elimination over the top rope is excluded. Therefore, the match can end at any time via pinfall or submission and can happen anytime before all 21 participants enter. Orange Cassidy, the first of those 21 participants, squares off with the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada. Nigel McGuinness, you heard right. Nigel McGuinness leaves his announced position as he's in his ring gear and enters the fray. Next out the gate, Kyle O'Reilly to then see Zack Sabre Jr. in this whirlwind of a match where the winner gets a title shot anytime. Roderick Strong makes his way in as he wants his shot at the AEW World title and, of course, for the Kingdom, the United Kingdom. Mark Briscoe brings in his redneck kung fu into this wild style match. And Hangman Adam Page in a foul mood, as whenever he's not in a mood, when isn't it foul, stomps his way in to show the world his cowboy shit. That's right, that's what he's calling it, folks. Jeff Jarrett, to make another page of history in wrestling, comes in, only to be followed by the debut of one Ricochet is All Elite. Christian Cage to step in despite previous injury in the trios match as he ran away in the beginning of the match, only to show a little bit more brains than guts involving this, because Christian Cage is going to get that world title shot after Luchasaurus came in, only to come in and hand Christian a world title shot, pinning Kyle O'Reilly after a chokeslam. AEW American Championship. As we've been seeing here lately, MJF came out and introduced us with a new championship called the American Championship. We know it as the International Championship, and soon will again, as you will hear this. Will Ospreay versus MJF. Ospreay with the Tiger Driver, best MJF after Daniel Garcia appears, throwing off MJF for Ospreay to win. As Christopher Daniels comes down, he has a bag. Inside the bag, he gives the AEW International Championship belt to Will Ospreay. We go into next, the TBS Championship. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Mercedes Moné, CEO. Monet remains TBS champion and targets Baker's back after she was on the shelf for 10 months and she beats her clean in the middle of the ring. The TNT Championship in a casket match. Darby Allin versus Jack Perry. After defeating Darby Allin, the EVPs bring a can of gasoline to try to light the casket on fire. But lo and behold, no one saw this coming as Tony Schiavone yells out, "It's Sting!" Makes a return. Then we go into the AEW World Championship as both men gave it everything they had and left it in the ring, as this is the last hurrah for one Bryan Danielson, and in the end, after attempted outside interference by Hangman Adam Page, only to be thwarted off for the first time in this guy's history that I've seen high security actually be able to withhandle and get the wrestler off the scene. And it leads to a back and forth, only for Swerve Strickland to tap out to the label lock in the center of the ring of two outstanding performers and the new AEW World Champion, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. These are your AEW updates. I'm going to send it over now to Austin Goodroe, and he's going to tell us what's happening in WWE, Austin. Go.
Welcome to WWE NXT Rising Stars segment. Yours truly, Austin Blaze. Well, folks, this week's NXT, we see two phenomenal women's matches with Fatal Influence coming out on top in the show opener after a phenomenal match. We got second females match at NXT. We got Petrovic coming out on top. Carmen Petrovic coming out on top. And we had a 6-man match with the Dawn's family, which Tony D'Angelo and Channing Lorenzo Sticks coming out on top. Face-off between Wesley and a member of the Rascals to set up a match at NXT TakeOver on Sunday. And as for Raw, we see Uncle Howdy beating Chad Gable in a Bray Wyatt-like fashion to earn a spot in the Fatal 4-Way Intercontinental Championship match. That's about all I got for you, folks.
WeboManiacs World of Wrestling is happy to bring to you fans with a sick, twisted sense of humor memes, wrestling memes compiled throughout the week in what we call Shane's Comedy Corner. Enjoy.
Comedy is my life. I love making y'all laugh. Please enjoy my Comedy Corner, hosted by Shane Savoy.
When you realize this guy is better than any tough enough contestant. And Triple H, what are you gonna do that's best for the boss? Hey Rollins, the boss is right here. In my day, real men would stun their bosses. Give me a hell yeah! 2014, I've never quit anything in my life. 2010, I quit! My client Brock Lesnar. It doesn't matter what your client did if you smell what the Rock is cooking. Feed me more ice cream. Yay, ice cream bars! The girl you like, her father, her first love, her brothers, her ex, and then you. That moment when you're beaten, but your girlfriend fights for you. Alcohol within a 24-hour period of WWE is prohibited. What? 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 High school portrayed by WWE superstars. Most successful, the quiet pretty boy, the one who talks too much, the wimp, the bully, the bad kid, most athletic, most popular, and the three friends who you never see apart. Jingle bells, Ziggler sells, Rollins broke his leg, Sheamus lost his championship to Roman frickin' Reigns. The shampoo bottle, the water temperature, the mirror, and the spider chilling in the corner. Have a stunning day. Don't hit rock bottom. If you do, just go to sleep, because tomorrow is a new day. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'll see you more next week on Shane's Comedy Corner.
Would you like to be on the show? Subscribe, share, and repeat. You never know what you will see in WeboManiacs World of Wrestling. Weekly updates from all organizations, and catch Shane's Comedy Corner here in WeboManiacs World of Wrestling.